90.3 FM, and it's time for Helping Seniors of Brevard, as that music always gets everybody kind of up and running and going, and everybody likes to dance to it. And whereas Jim, he was dancing too. That was quite a sight. But anyway, we're set to go for today's Helping Seniors of Brevard, as I introduce the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard and the host of the program now for many years, Kerry. I don't know how many years it's been, but long time. Anyway, here's Kerry Fink.
Hey, John Harper. Thank you. It's so good to be here on the radio today, and we are just enjoying the opportunity of gathering at lunchtime on 90.3 FM, WEJF Radio. And this is the show that is designed to educate, inform, and connect you to resources that will make a difference for you as you make your own aging plan. So you can tune in every Wednesday, lunchtime, 90.3 FM, WEJF, and listen online too at WEJF.net. And if you catch us later as a podcast, we appreciate you tuning in as well. So we have got a great radio show ahead for you today on the Helping Seniors Radio Gathering. We have some great friends of the Helping Seniors organization, longtime friend, expert on all things senior. Her name is Jennifer Barton. She is the owner of Seniors Helping Seniors. How are you, Jennifer?
I am wonderful. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's always great because you have been involved in helping us in the work of helping seniors literally almost since the day Joe Steckler started this organization, which I find almost impossible to believe that we've now been serving in the community for 15 years. It's just incredible.
It's amazing, isn't it?
You know, and I always think, and you have this perspective too, because when Joe was first saying, I'm getting this thing off the ground and I want to get this rolling, and I thought it was important because we were dealing with our aging moms at the time. But, you know, today, 15 years later, we have more seniors than ever before. It's incredible.
Oh, absolutely. And it's really one of those things, like, don't try this on your own.
Right.
You've got people that understand how to navigate through all of this, take advantage of that knowledge.
Yeah, and so I was really thinking that, you know, when Joe, you know, when I first met Joe, he was like, Kerry, more's got to be done for seniors. I did all this work. I built up the Brevard Alzheimer's and the Joe's Clubs. They named him after him, and he did all such good work with that. And then he kind of retired from that, and he said there's more work to be done. He said because some families are dealing with cognitive challenges, but every family is going to deal with senior issues at some level, whether it's yourself, it's you're trying to take care of mom or dad, or, you know, a loved one. We all run into this stuff. He said there needs to be an organization that does this. And I was thinking, like I will say, now we have more seniors than before because more people are turning 65. More people are just flat living longer, and then everybody's moving to Florida on top of it.
Exactly, and that actually just, the moving to Florida part, we had attorney Greg Schwindman from Rhodes Law come in and talk to us 2 weeks ago at our caregiver luncheon. We always do a guest speaker, come and give us some knowledge. And that was one of the things that we talked about is Florida is different than other states.
Absolutely.
So if you're moving down from New York, they have services up there that we don't have, but we also have things here that they don't have in New York, and it works a little bit differently. So getting that information from the source, the people that know Florida, is really important because things are different. So don't assume because you know how Medicare or Medicaid works in New York, it's different here in Florida. So you've got to know what's happening here and now.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that moving to Florida part is a perfect introduction for our third compadre here in the studios today. It's none other than she's a senior real estate specialist. She's got registered nurse background as well. So she comes out of the healthcare side, understands real estate, understands specifically real estate for seniors, and she is an expert at all things like downsizing, all the things that seniors can run into. And we were talking before the show, that it really is, it's not just a, what was it, the old commercial for the armed services, not just a job, it's an adventure. I guess that's probably part of this too, but we're talking about Carlett Delliquadri. Her company is called Flamazing Real Estate. Welcome, Carlett.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
And I guess you see it as families are saying, like, we're going to enjoy the sunshine. I used to say that Brevard County was this unusual county because we're 71 miles north, 71 miles north to south. So it's a long, narrow county. And then I heard a real estate person use the term, and they said, what it really is 71 miles of beaches. And I said, I like that. That sounds like a good way to talk up the Space Coast. But you have been here for a long time, so you've seen the whole real estate market over time as it's changed, developed, gotten better. Sometimes it takes a little step back, but it always seems to always be advancing. And one of the things that you've really become an expert in is helping people to, I think you use the term senior transition specialist. Talk about that. What does that actually mean?
Well, a senior transition specialist is somebody, first of all, I'm a senior real estate specialist,
Right.
which is through the Senior Council at the National Association of Realtors. It's a special designation that
Right.
you can, that they provide 14 hours of additional education, and you can receive the designation. But a lot of people have designations, but they really don't have the experience to help the seniors through all the things that they have to go through when they transition. So I love what I do. I've been doing it now for 8 years. I am a retired nurse now.
Okay.
But once a nurse, always a nurse. And I just have to, we hold their hand and walk them through every step of the process. And it is a process. It starts with a consultation, and then we develop like a plan, a life plan. We look at their finances because we want to know exactly where we can put them to be able to self-sustain.
Yeah.
And then we start working through the downsizing and getting all their personal belongings either with family members or sold. There's a lot to it.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Making sure they're safe at home initially is what's important. And that's what I love about, sometimes I have to bring like Jennifer's company in they need somebody to stay there with
Yeah.
them until we can make the transition because they waited too long.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much of it. When you were talking about plan, those are words that would be music to Joe Steckler's ears because Jennifer would talk about everybody needs to make an aging plan. And we kind of euphemistically in the Helping Seniors world today kind of call it getting your ducks in a row because we just want to make it feel a little bit, hopefully, a little bit less intimidating. But the point is, you do need a plan. Like when they talk about hurricanes, you need a plan. When you're getting older, you need a plan. And so getting your ducks in a row is a good way to do it. And one of the things I was going to ask both of you about, because you both have devoted your careers and your expertise to helping seniors and making sure that they're able to do as well as they can. But maybe, Carlett, I'll start with you and just ask you, as you meet a family, you mentioned you have the right paperwork credentials, this senior real estate specialist, and we were talking about at one time, I don't know if it's still true, it was only a few percent, maybe a couple of percent of real estate agents who would take the time to take the course. But to your point, taking the course, getting that credential is important, but it's just probably where it begins, not where it ends.
Correct. I have 30 plus years working with seniors in Brevard County in a variety of healthcare venues, from Medicare home health to skilled nursing to long-term care, assisted living. And so I bring that experience with me. I'm very networked in Brevard County. I still have physicians I can pick up the phone and call if we're struggling with a doctor, or every senior is looked at individually.
Yeah.
All of their needs are could be different, but the great thing is we always are able to navigate them through whatever is in front of them.
Yeah, for 15 years, we've operated the County Senior Information Helpline. It's a free call to 321-473-7770. And Karen and her team of volunteers, they're covering over 4,000 calls a year. And what we keep getting out of that is that every case, there's similarities. There's certain things that are run through a thread that runs through everything. But everybody's case is particular and very unique to their own situation. And if you don't care to take the time, you're not going to be able to make that difference. I've watched you, Jennifer Barton, with Seniors Helping Seniors. You've been doing this for so many years. You came out of a background where this was inside your family, and that's kind of maybe what gave you guys the love for taking care of seniors. But what I think about is useful and helpful is that you have so much experience, and you've done this for a period of time that you really are in a position to help the families figure out their steps correctly.
Absolutely. We're there more than just our home care. We really do try to walk with the senior and their family through, what's happening now, what are next steps. If we do have someone go into the hospital, we're checking on them and, hey, are they going to rehab? Where's the list? Here's what we recommend. They're coming home. Make sure home health care is in there. There's Medicare-based home health care that they're eligible for. We try to walk people through the steps so that they know what's next and how to plan. And that's why I'll brag on Carlett a little bit. That's why I love what she does, because you can hear just what she's saying today. She's not just listing a house.
Right.
She's not coming in and doing the application or paperwork or whatever you do to get that house sold, the listing, but she's walking through them from start to finish. What she does is, I think, way above and beyond what a typical real estate agent would do, because she is making sure that they have all of the help that they need. From the very beginning to the end.
Well, and it's not only that, Carlett, it's the fact that you're having to deal with a lot of life changes at the same time. Like, if you're up and coming and, you're getting a bigger house because now you're going to have kids or whatever, stuff like that's going on. There's a whole part of that, but you haven't accumulated a lifetime's worth of stuff. And usually when we're on the other end of the spectrum, we're probably talking about downsizing. Maybe we have to look at an assisted living. God forbid we have to look at a memory care facility. But in all cases, we're probably going to go, the kids have grown up, they left home or whatever. Now we're going to go smaller. And so that adds all these complexities, let alone something that I've heard from every elder law attorney that we have the privilege of dealing with. And they talk about some of these considerations that you have to be very careful how you make these maneuvers as a senior, because Medicaid has a look-back period. VA benefits have a look-back period. And you want to be very careful in your maneuvering that you don't inadvertently cost yourself tens of thousands of dollars by making a misstep.
So now that you brought that up, that is part of my consultation with them. And we really need to make sure that if they have their life estate together, like when's the last time that they updated it? I've had clients say, well, it's been 15 years. We talk about your power of attorney, your healthcare surrogate, because you're moving into senior living. And they say, oh, well, Bob, my brother Bob is our power of attorney,
Right.
or we're each other's power of attorney.
Right.
So we just really want them to start thinking a little deeper and revisit what they already have in place, because many times Bob is already passed. He's gone. So we run into all of those dynamics as well.
I hear that all the time. Jennifer, I remember a story that you were telling is like when you sit down with a family and you're starting to work through what's going to be right for them, that that is a question that comes up, because you need to know, do they have the right paperwork if there's an emergency, somebody has to go to the hospital. But then I've heard you explain that, the kids are all pointing fingers at mom and dad. Yeah, you got to get your paperwork done. And then you'll turn to them and say, well, what about you guys too?
Exactly. It's fair play. And the seniors usually get a kick out of that too, that I'm picking on the kids just as much as I'm picking on the seniors themselves, because anyone over 18 has to have that paperwork. And, with what we do at Seniors Helping Seniors, we don't really need that, but we know how incredibly important it is.
Yeah. When we talk about this idea of making an aging plan or getting your ducks in a row, we've added a couple things. We always say, don't try this on your own. Get somebody who this is not their first rodeo. They know what they're doing. They have a lifetime of experience. They have a compassion and a care for what they're doing. And I think that's the thing that comes out. We titled the show Making Life Better for Seniors, and that's really what you guys are each in the business of doing. I see you put a lot of time, attention, and care into making sure that what you're doing is really going to benefit the senior, and it's not just a business transaction. If you want to say something about that, really, because I see that in you guys.
Well, I think Jennifer said it. You can't just go in and meet with your customer and list their house. Sadly, I've had those phone calls on the back end when that's actually happened. And I just want to make something perfectly clear. Like my colleagues in real estate do a fantastic job helping customers buy and sell homes. But the seniors are very specialized because they require a lot more. So if you don't have experience or you haven't, you're not really passionate about it and you're not serious about making, that commitment to that specialty, then you really, you're not doing anybody any justice, because what happens is they call in 3 days, their house is going to close and they don't have anywhere to go. I've received multiple phone calls over the past 8 years, and it's the most heartbreaking thing because, of course, we can come in and try to do the best we can, but 3 days
doesn't give you a lot of room to work. I was thinking, even as you were talking about that's isn't that one of the things is that you know the right questions to ask. Like, I think a lot of the problems for us when we're dealing with these senior issues, and I think it's why it was so important to Joe that we create this organization and in his words, keep it going, because what happens is a lot of this stuff you're running into for the first time. So you don't even know necessarily the right questions that you need to be asking, which is, once again, why getting somebody who has an experience and a specialty in this makes such a difference. I was going to say, particularly in the real estate business, you can walk into any grocery store and pluck a business card off of a bulletin board. You could do a Google search or something, and you're going to come up with 80. It's like almost everybody in Brevard County thinks they're a realtor, but there's only a few who are really that true professional realtor, and then only a few of those who hold themselves to like an incredible high standard. And that's what I hear you're doing in your company, Flamazing Real Estate, Carlett.
Yeah, and because I'm a nurse, I'll go in and do a clinical assessment. I, like you were saying about asking questions, you do have to know what questions to ask, but you also have to be comfortable. Have a level of comfort in asking the questions.
Well, and you know what questions to ask.
Right. A realtor traditionally does not go in and talk to a customer about their finances necessarily, and just doesn't really know all the ins and outs and the best way to transition them. There could be family, maybe there's no family, maybe we're working with a court-appointed guardian, professional guardian. There's so many dynamics, but they need all the support that they can get in order to have that seamless, stress-free transition.
So we had a family that we worked with that they're going to be putting the house up for sale. She's going to be transitioning into assisted living facilities. So they brought us in, and we were helping kind of on the day-to-day. But one of the things that they wanted us to do while we're there is to start helping downsize. So nobody's in the area. So we said, okay, absolutely. They kind of told us what to do, what not to do, what things she's going to be taking. So our caregiver is getting rid of things and figured out she had to do it very slyly, because all of those things that the family just wanted to put in the trash, she follows right behind it, takes it right back out of the trash.
Right.
So it's this interesting dynamic of trying to be able to go in and clean out the house to get it ready for the listing. And if you don't know that happens, the real estate agent might come in and say, okay, I want all this stuff cleared out, by Tuesday. And then Tuesday comes and nothing is done because, the best efforts are being thwarted.
Yeah.
So, and it made me laugh because way back when with Grandma Maxine, we realized in order to do that in her house, one of us had to take her out. One of us would take her lunch, and while she was gone, the rest of us worked like crazy to get things cleaned out for her.
Yeah.
She never asked where anything went. We were always amazed. Never did ask, oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff missing. Never commented on it, thank goodness. But that's what you had to do in that situation in order to get her ready for that move. And Carlett knows that.
Yes, and part of after I do the initial assessment, I start pulling. I have a team of professionals. I don't do this alone. I have a phenomenal team that I work with that are specialized in things like placements and, all the legal, financial downsizing. So I typically focus, this may be helpful, I typically focus on just what they need to move into their smaller living space. Because The rest of it, they can be involved, but the rest of it can, be taken care of after they're there, and it seems to be a lot less stressful.
Yeah, I was thinking as you guys were having the conversation, see, you're aware of the sensitivity. Jennifer and I have talked many times on the radio along the way that with her company, Seniors Helping Seniors, oftentimes that's the first time somebody's coming into a senior's home, and maybe it's not always the senior's idea. It could be the spouse that's like, wow, it's getting a little hard to keep up with Fred, or maybe it's the adult kids who are not even in the area and they know that mom and dad are now having trouble. And yet what you find yourself having to do is to navigate to help them. I love the story that you tell about the lady wasn't going to have anything to do with any caregiver, forget it, out of the question, but the lady was already there. Tell that story, because
that was really sweet. She was so cute. She is very independent, and so our caregiver got to the door and she said, "I don't want you here." But since you're here, you might as well come in. And by the end of that first visit, they were giggling together and having great conversation and Googling where the closest chair yoga was going to be for the next visit so that they could go and do that together. So that was definitely a success story.
Yeah, I think the point that I wanted to get at is you almost have to, first of all, you have to be, what do they call it, the emotional intelligence to kind of like read what's going on and try to help advance the situation. You can't just barge in and go, well, you need to do, even though you guys know it. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it a million times. You could walk in there and go, well, A, B, C, D, this is how we get this solved. But you can't just be like that. You have to work with the person and get them where they're comfortable with what's going on too.
Exactly. You've got to build that relationship.
Yeah. And Carlett, that's, I think, probably why your background of having the medical side, understanding these changes. We talk a lot in some of the groups, whether it be helping seniors, or there's also a group that we do business to business. People come together called Golden Providers, where our objective is to remind people that dealing with seniors brings kind of, we call it senior sensitivity training, right? Because if you're not used to seniors, we make mistakes. We think, well, if we just say it that much louder, they're suddenly going to get it, and things like that. And yet you guys have the experience to know how to navigate all that so it's a successful outcome for everybody, Carlett.
It is, and I will tell you that I've had multiple times when I'm the last person they want to see, and usually what they'll say is, "Oh, you're the lady that my daughter said is come and sell my house."
We're going to keep that theme going. We're going to go ahead and take our mid-show break now. We're talking with Carlett Delliquadri with Flamazing Real Estate and Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors. Stick with us. We'll be back for the second half of the radio show.
You're on the Talk to Me Network, home of Helping Seniors of Brevard. As we get back to the program, I'm John Harper. Let me introduce the award-winning Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. That's you, Kerry Fink, and our host as well.
I like that, the award-winning Kerry
That's right.
Fink. Now we just have to think up what the award actually would be. But it sounds very good, and I appreciate that. Thanks,
Okay.
John Harper.
You got it.
So welcome back to the second half of Helping Seniors Radio. It's lunchtime hour right here on 90.3 FM, WEJF. If you're listening online at WEJF.net, thank you for tuning in. And if you're catching this as a podcast, as a growing number of folks do, thank you for making Helping Seniors Radio your home. We actually get to see some statistics about podcast searches and things like that, and I'm always surprised that we're making like top 20 and top 30 rankings as a 100% local to Brevard charity. But when people type in, they're looking for shows that will be about helping seniors, there we are. And that's what our objective is as a nonprofit. We have no reason to exist other than to try to help seniors and their families navigate. We're here to inform, educate, connect seniors to resources, and what we do is we call it senior navigation, because so often you're running into stuff that you just haven't run into before, and you could either try to do your own online search and figure it out, which can be very, very dangerous. In the case that we were talking during the break, our guest today in the studio, Carlett Delliquadri. She's a senior real estate specialist, has all kinds of registered nurse experience, but she is the lead broker for her company called Flamazing Real Estate. Welcome back, Carlett.
Thanks, Kerry. It's great to be here.
And also in the studio is longtime friend of Helping Seniors. Her name is Jennifer Barton. She is the owner of Seniors Helping Seniors and has been serving this area for, well, my goodness, quite a while with helping people get good quality help at home, because you hire seniors to help seniors. And it's a great thing, because sometimes you're helping on so many levels. You're helping the seniors and their families, but then you're also a great source of employment for seniors themselves as well.
Absolutely. We joke that we're all seniors all the time.
Yeah, I love it. But you know what we were talking about is that you try these things on your own. So like typically if a family gets together and says mom has got to go into an assisted living, we were talking about this, somebody in the family knows somebody who is a real estate. I heard one real estate agent say you could swing a dead cat in Brevard County and hit a real estate agent, because there are just that many. But here's the point. Is that person really understand the nuances of what you need to know about for a senior? Like we were talking about during the break, like, if it's a downsizing case, there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of, I don't want to let go of stuff. There's a lot of, I said, you guys almost have to be experts in psychology or something to make sure that you're doing this in a correct way for the senior, but you're also meeting whatever deadlines and things that have to be in place to keep it all moving. It's a very complicated, it's almost like you have to orchestrate everything, Carlett.
We do, Kerry, and the thing that is so difficult is they don't want to let go of anything.
Right. Who does?
They've had these belongings all their life, and so some of the conversations we have to have with them are, do you have family members that you want to gift things to? Do your family members want the gifts? That could be another caveat. Is there, maybe they have a lot of memorabilia, like from the war and things, would you like it donated to a museum? So we try to be very mindful to empower them to let go, if that makes sense.
But I guess it gets really complicated, because if somebody calls their sister-in-law third removed, or however all that stuff goes, and that's a real estate agent, they won't necessarily have any real insight or understanding of the complexity of this transaction. And we were talking during the break that we really need people to get to you before they've made a commitment elsewhere, because how do people pay for this? I mean, you're obviously, if you're involved in the real estate transaction, you're going to be able to share in that at some point at the end when it's all successfully closed. But it seems to me like you're doing an awful lot of services above and beyond what a traditional agent might provide.
We do a lot up front, and so I'm kind of looking forward to 2026. I've made a decision that we are going to branch out a little bit and keep the consulting separate. So I'll be ready to launch that after the first of the year, which is kind of exciting.
Good.
But because I also want to be able to help my colleagues, my realtor friends, I'm always open to them calling me if they need something, but being able to help them with that piece of it can just really create a lot of value to what they bring when it's time to sell the house, and to what they're doing, that they're being mindful of, recognizing that there's more to it than just selling the house.
I was thinking that's really the point that's really at the basis of this, is that particularly in a senior real estate transaction, maybe where downsizing is involved or things like that, it's way more complex than just the simple transaction of let's get a buyer and a seller together. And I wanted to ask you, if people wanted to learn more about Flamazing Real Estate and the work and all the different services that you do and have the experience to do, how do people reach you?
The best way to reach me, because I'm old school and I love to talk on the phone, is 321-223-5665. That's my cell, and I actually answer my cell and I call people back. The other way, if you prefer to just reach out, you can email me at flamazingrealestate@gmail.com. We are working on our Flamazing website, but it's not ready to launch yet. But that'll be another option in the future for you guys to reach me. So pick up the phone and give me a call.
I think the phone is the way to go. Carlett Delliquadri with Flamazing Real Estate. Let's say that number one more time.
321-223 5665.
And I would say Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, if we're talking about this, it makes so much sense, brings so much peace of mind, and saves so much stress if you call the right person the first time. I mean, like if you know that this is coming down the road, I mean, it would seem like you would want to give Carlett a call and just explore everything. Like, well, here's what I'm up against. I've got, mom is stubborn, doesn't want to blah, blah, blah. But, it's at the point we got to do this. And, you're getting the wisdom of all that experience, and it's coming with the package.
Absolutely. And that's what we try to do, at Seniors Helping Seniors is, we do our home care, but we try to make sure that the families have the right resources at the right time.
We've talked so much in particular, like, through the ages of stuff like when COVID hit, oftentimes you guys are the eyes, ears, hands, and legs for kids who are not even in the area, and they're kind of relying on you to help them keep up to date with how mom and dad are doing, or if it's time something else needs to happen. So you're always in that role. And then we saw it especially come to the forefront during COVID, when even if the kids wanted to travel and they weren't allowed to. And so you really have become like bedrock to a family. You're almost like another family member, helping them navigate all the things that, mom, dad, aunt, or uncle are running into.
We're part of the team. I went out a couple of weeks ago and did a new assessment. And, the goal is for her to become independent again.
Yeah.
So she's had a procedure. So the goal is that we're putting ourselves out of a job, which is, that's what we want to do because that's what she wants to do. But unfortunately, as the caregivers are getting back to me and we're comparing notes, we're getting worse instead of better, which is the wrong trajectories. What's going on, and do we need to do anything differently? And so I reached out to the daughter and said, hey, this is what's going on. Can you ask, because there is physical therapy, there's a home health care company in there. Should we be pushing more, or should we not push at all? We don't want to overstep our bounds, but should we encourage walking? Should we not encourage walking? What can we do to be helpful in this situation? And thank goodness we did that, because then daughter reached out and we start putting two and two together. Right. Of course, when daughter calls, mom saying everything's fine, but everything was not fine.
Right.
So she went to the hospital yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
But she's where she needs to be, getting the right care, thank goodness, so that she can get back on that good trajectory and get better. But that's more the eyes and ears, and we do communicate with the families to make sure that they're getting the right help at the right time.
Well, I don't mean this the wrong way, but I think in many cases, both of you are better than family. Here's what I mean. I'm not trying to insult family. I'm just saying that you have the experience to know to things like you could be the best son, daughter, nephew, niece, whatever, but you just simply don't know what you don't know. So you don't know. You think, wow, this doesn't feel right. Maybe it is time we got to do something else, but then you don't even know what that something else would be. Whereas you guys have that level of experience, and you're like, okay, this is what this is shaping up to be. That leads us down this path, and we need to start having these conversations.
And sadly, Kerry, they're trying to protect their independence.
Sure.
So, sometimes they'll do whatever they can to be able to stay at home. So sometimes, they're not being truthful, but it's just a protective barrier that, they're using to stay at home. And I've talked to, the kids, adult children, and they're like, no, mom's doing fine, because I found mom not doing fine, and try to find a family member, found a family member, called a family member, the whole thing. And they're like, oh no, we just talked to her. We talk to her every day. She's great. So, they're little stinkers.
Well, Jennifer, how many times have we talked about this? You guys always pick up a big influx of business around the holidays because the family comes in, they're going to share a holiday, and they go back horrified. Every time I would call mom, how you doing? I'm fine. And then we get down there.
Absolutely. Ricky just did an assessment yesterday. His son came down to visit and went, things are not as I thought that they were. So we'll be going in to help on a weekly basis. And it's just 1-2 hour visit a week. She doesn't need a whole lot, but we'll be able to help and keep her safe at home where she wants to be. and now he'll have peace of mind that there are eyes and ears there, and we try not to tattle, but if we have a concern, we tell them we're going to be very honest about it and let the family know.
Yeah, I was thinking you guys really have to be like master diplomats.
Yes,
we see all
very diplomatic.
we see all
Try.
these things on newscasts. The high level negotiations, and somebody has to be the envoy and all this. You guys, this is really on a scale that's very important, family by family. But that's really what you're doing, is you're trying to corral all these competing thoughts, maybe even interests sometimes, and make it work for the good of that senior.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It can be difficult, but or interesting. But
so Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, your company is unique. There's a lot of people that purport to do home help and things like that, and I'm not saying anything negative about them. I know one of the things I will say is negative. Don't pluck that business card that you saw, maybe even on a church bulletin board that says, "I can watch mom or dad," because that can be hugely dangerous because you have no idea what you're getting into. And Jennifer, as you know, in the Helping Seniors world, we are always talking about scams and things like that. And one of the things that sadly happens is somebody hires somebody off the street, and in the best case, maybe they hurt themselves, and now all of a sudden you've got unemployment claims and things like that because you were just paying them out of your checkbook, and you didn't realize that you had liability and all those other things. But when you call somebody like Seniors Helping Seniors, you cover all that. The people that are going into the home, they're under your care and your responsibility, so that you make sure, A, you're sending the right people in, and B, you're keeping an eye so that everything is being done properly. So you never
Absolutely.
have to worry about, because how many times have we heard these stories about you invite somebody in the home because they sound cheap at the time, but then they help themselves to all mom's
I've had
jewelry?
it happen to neighbors. And so we do the federal background check, but we do local checks. We even look kind of at financials and Facebook, and we want to make sure, my policy has always been, I don't want to hire anyone that I wouldn't put in mom's house.
Yeah.
But I'm also not going to put one of my caregivers into a house I wouldn't put mom in. So it goes both ways. We try to take care of both sides. But we try to be very careful about who we are sending out there. And that was one of the things, too, that we were doing with attorney Greg Schwindeman when he came in, and we talked about scams and being mandatory reporters, of really watching out for the clients that we serve to make sure that they're not being scammed, that they're not being taken advantage of, that we're keeping our eyes open, and if we see something, say something so that the family knows, because sometimes the family is up in New York or out in California and they don't know that neighbor, that really nice neighbor, is not actually very nice.
Not helping the way we would want them to. So Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors. Again, you're a great resource for seniors who are looking for maybe some part-time work that fits their schedule. I love how I've heard you say before, you look for somebody with a heart of caregiver who does not mind accepting a paycheck. So you're hiring people, but you also are a great resource because you hire the right people to get them into the home to help. So if somebody wants to call you or get information about either aspect of that, how do they reach you?
So we can be reached at 321-722-2999. And again, that's 321-722-2999. We're at seniorshelpingseniors.com/Brevard, and we're Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff too.
And all you guys are like out in the community all the time. We're going to we'll give those numbers one more time before we get to the end of the show, but I wanted to get into, because there's like so many events that are moving at this time, and I wanted to save a couple of minutes for us to talk about this. We just came out of a great event that we were able to do with our friends from ARP Florida, who's really taking a good interest in Brevard County, and we've been, as Helping Seniors, so pleased to work together with them. We do a program called Walk with the Doc, second Friday at Melbourne Square Mall. We are involved in the local chapters of one that meets in Indian Harbor. There's one that meets here in Palm Bay. We have done so many programs together. We finished a program a little while ago called AI Disinformation. We are returning with Scam Jam on November 21st. What that is an all-day kind of an intensive that we're trying to help protect seniors from scams. We have everybody from the Sheriff's Department to come out, to our public state attorney, Greg Schwendeman, who we've been talking about with Rhodes Law. He comes out and shares on the top 10 scams because he kind of keeps his pulse on all that. So it's a full-day program. Our friends from AARP, who have the Fraud Watch Network, they come out and share what they're seeing nationally. It's absolutely free. We're going to be doing this. The first one we did earlier this year was in Vieira. This time we're going to be in Titusville at a place called Addington Place, and early in 2026 we're going to be bringing it here to Palm Bay as well. But the point is, November 21st, there's going to be a full day, 9 to 2. It's absolutely free. Lunch is included. You have to RSVP because lunch is included, so they got to know how many people are coming. And then that afternoon, though, we're also going to bring in a shred truck because, you know, one of the ways to keep yourself safe is to have your documents properly disposed of. And so you get to actually take your documents to them absolutely free. You'll watch it go into the shred truck, be shredded on the spot, and you'll get like some paperwork or something that says this, you know, that you disposed of these documents. So that's free and open to everybody. It's November 21st. So that's something that we really get involved in. But yesterday we had a fun day out at Morel's Grill and Bar here in Palm Bay because ARP was doing a multicultural senior appreciation day, and we had over 150 folks show up for free lunch and just great resources were out there. The folks from One Senior Place were there with us. Our friends from Aging Matters and Brevard Alzheimer's were out. It was a terrific day, and those are the kind of things that we want to get involved with so that the community can come together around seniors. Now, to that extent, there's a big event that's coming up on Saturday in Cocoa. Would you talk for just a moment about how important this one is, the Walk to End Alzheimer's?
Yes, the Space Coast Walk to End Alzheimer's is this Saturday up at Cocoa Village in Riverfront Park. The registration, I think, starts at 7 or 8, and the actual ceremony starts at 9, and then we'll be walking. Yeah. We'll be there. I'll have my purple hair and my purple tutu because you got to have fun with it. But it's a great day for a very serious cause. We are raising money. For me, it's all about the research so that we can help end Alzheimer's. They've contributed, I forget how many billions of dollars to research, and we've got, I think, 17,000 diagnosed. That's only the diagnosed folks, right here in Brevard. Right. So, you know, some of that money stays in Brevard to help with resources for folks with dementia and their families. But it is a really fun event, and it's going to be real personal for me this year. They do a flower ceremony, and each flower, each color represents a different thing. So if you've lost someone to Alzheimer's, you hold up a purple flower. If you're caring for someone, it's an orange flower. If you have dementia, it's a blue flower. And so we had a caregiver who unfortunately has been diagnosed. So he and his wife are going to be on stage for the flower ceremony, and they're going to be holding up the respective colors. So I applaud them because I think it's very, very brave, and they're very great advocates for care. So we're going to be cheering them on and having a great day, raising funds for a wonderful cause.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Mindy, who organizes all that, was kind enough to invite Helping Seniors to be out there. So we're going to be in something called the Community Tent out there. And she told me this story, which is really touching, and this is why this whole thing is so important. She said they also have a child come out who holds a white flower, and the white flower represents that first Alzheimer's survivor that we're seeing in the not-so-distant future. And when you talk to those people like Deidre Ed Flourish, or you talk to Rosemary Laird, or the folks with ClinCloud who are engaged in all these clinical trials, they're telling you, like, we're on the cusp of getting this thing into a place where we can make some real differences. There's some medications now that are FDA approved, and they're talking about that this is really on the cusp. So this could be the year, if you get out and you support this, we could be making literally history, you know?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that. So we hope we'll see you out. It's at Cocoa Riverfront Park.
Yes,
Yeah.
Riverfront Park in beautiful Cocoa Village.
Yeah, so Karen Warnland from our group is going to be there. I'm going to be there in the morning because then we're on a car raffle bicycle because our car raffle happens on Sunday, October 26th at the American Muscle Car Museum. Is that gorgeous facility that Mark Pinelak has now. Jennifer, can you believe there's almost 500 cars in there? They get closer and closer together. They're double stacked, maybe triple stacking some of them. But he's got like the world's most amazing collection of cars.
And he moves them around. So every year when you go, wait a minute, I don't remember that car. And it was there last year, but because they display them a little differently, I always see something new when I go in.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And so even if you were there with us last year, come again, because there's a lot of things going on. So this year, we're going to see Mark's cars inside the museum, but he also gave us permission that we're going to have a car show outside the museum. And because this is the last October, this is the last Sunday weekend in October, we are going to do a big trunk or treat. So Bill is getting all the car folks that are going to be outside to make sure they bring lots of treats. And Mark said kids can come in for free with a ticketed adult. So when you get your Helping Seniors car raffle ticket, you're doing three things. You're supporting the work of Helping Seniors. You're going to maybe go home in a new car. We'll talk about that in a second. And for sure, while you don't have to be present to win, you can come out to the museum, enjoy the fun, bring kids, grandkids, rent a kid, whatever you need to do, and come enjoy the trunk or treat festivities that are going to be out there because it's going to be so much fun. And so literally you can get a ticket by going to helpingseniors.carraffle.com. You can call us directly, 321-473-7770. You can go by any Boniface Hires car dealership. They've got your tickets. You can go see Carlett at our offices because we have tickets there. And you can go see Jennifer at her office because you have tickets there too.
I do.
And so real quick, I don't have to ask you because I know which car you pick, Miss Dodge. We talked about this last month on the radio, but you're still in the Dodge Hornet camp, right?
Oh, I am. Absolutely.
Yeah, because the shtick is there's 7 cars, and you can pick whichever car that you would like to meet. And there's some great choices in there. There's everything from a Jeep Compass Sport to a Chevrolet Colorado pick-em-up truck. There is a Kia Sportage. There's a Mitsubishi Outlander. There's a Mazda Miata convertible. There's a Mazda sedan. And did I say? Yeah. So there's a lot of great choices. Do you have a car that you prefer in the car raffle?
Well, I think as I'm getting younger, I'm thinking maybe the Miata might be fun to cruise around. Can I get it in pink?
You should. Oh, there you go. Then it's totally
That would be Flamazing, yes.
Well, you
Flamazing.
get your tickets today. Be in it to win it. We say helpingseniors.carraffle.com. So thank you, Carlett Delliquadri from Flamazing Real Estate and Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors. And if you need numbers or get your tickets or whatever you want to do, give us a call, 321-473-7770. And we're going to get you connected to great people who really do care. That's the time we have for today. We'll see you next week right back here on Helping Seniors Radio. Have a great week till then, and see you around.